Hi chat, welcome in everyone. Happy Wednesday to all of you. Hopefully your week has been going smoothly. Hello Will, welcome in JK. Hello Tyrus. So tonight's challenge is rye bread. Not sure why it's not calling the dinner command when it gives everyone 50 sprinkles. It's supposed to. I was sort of boring with my post of what's happened in the last 24 hours or so in Discord. I mean, I've been doing stuff, I've accomplished stuff, but not very exciting. I was thinking just as stream was starting, I refilled the hummingbird feeders. It's sort of, level of excitement that's... thank you all for joining me. Cheers. Yeah, I was a little quick with that one, Will. Let's see, this board is not looking like it's completely... Nope. Let's line that up properly here. Okay. What do we start with here? I guess we start with dessert tonight, which is sort of breakfast, but it's still dessert. I guess we start with the rye bread, actually, because we need to create some stale rye bread from fresh rye bread. I went with Russian rye. I don't know what everyone's choice, whether you go dark or light, or Jewish or Russian, or there's all sorts of rye breads out there. I'm actually not sure how I should go about this. Best way to go about this. I think we're gonna just chop them into cubes for... I'm gonna need cubes for the salad. I'm gonna need large crumbs for the dessert. I'm not exactly in love with all of the crust and with all of this. Mostly just because the crust has already been toasted. That ought to be more than enough for a little salad. Now, do I want to do anything? I think I just want to leave these plain for this at this point. Yeah, we're just going to leave this plain at this point. House already smells of... Is it caraway? Yeah, caraway seeds. So these we can then use for our finer stuff. That's probably going to be enough for our streusel. So let me check how much we need for that. We'll call it that. I don't know why I made the fine breadcrumbs. I'm sitting here like, I needed big ones, I needed sort of chunky small ones. We got chunky small ones. Why did I make ultra fine? I know that's not ultra fine, but... I don't know, we're gonna go on without it though. Turning the oven on to 300. Ah, that isn't what I want to do with those either. I'm just scatterbrained tonight, chat. The oven's still preheating, but I'm just going to throw them down there anyways. Why waste the heat? Give myself a 15-minute timer to check on those breadcrumbs, and we'll give them longer for the actual. That is, if my oven's not running too hot. I was going to grab a red onion. I didn't grab a red onion. We'll do white onion then. There's a hole in here somewhere. I know I tore one in there. Those other ones didn't just evaporate. And switch gears here again. I got the onion cleaned up, and then I realized I should probably get the coffee cake going. Probably should get that all set up. Be a good idea, right? Hand's too slippery. Baking powder. It just smells of caraway in here. The oven, it's just caraway. Sugar. Heat is off on the melted butter. Half and half. Oops, let's switch over to the cutting board there. Vanilla. I'm guessing the dairy and the alcohol are not the greatest of friends, but let's see, we got everything in there. Salt. And an egg. Still haven't broken the yolk. Now I have. Butter goes in. Egg, dairy, and vanilla go in next. So there is our base. Cake. Yeah, we're still gonna have to give that a little more time. We'll work on the streusel part now. Put the flour away. Never a good plan. Put the sugar away too. One-third cup of flour. It's a 2/3 cup measure. Brown sugar, which makes sense for the streusel. Starting to get some nice color on some of that. Let's give them all a little bit of a toss around. Some of these are already looking nice and toasty up here in the corner. I might harvest those early. What do I do with you? Where'd my bench scraper? Oh, there, right in front of me. Those are looking sort of acceptable doneness for me. Give these all move around. And back in for another 5-10 minutes. Cinnamon. It needs more salt than that. I'm following a basic recipe for like a coffee cake and adding the rye bread in. It's been quite a while since I made a coffee cake, even though it's wasting paper when I have a towel for that. It's been a while since I've made one, so I'm a little rusty at it, even though it's just a basic quick bread. Walnuts, or rather pecan pieces, sorry. Start breaking the butter up. I was debating using my pastry knife for that, but I don't think some of these pecan pieces are going to fit through those grooves very nicely, so we're going to do this by hand. And just going to knead these pieces of butter in with the sugar, flour, nuts, and what will be the rye bread once that gets done toasting. Want roughly pea-sized pieces of butter when you're done, but it's like you're basically just making sure you don't have any pools of butter. Oh, I didn't set another timer. Whoops. Let's take a look. Yep, it's still in there. I want some decent half moons of onion for on my sandwich. So we got that set aside. And then we're going to want onion in with the cucumber salad. So we'll thin slice a little onion for with that. With it. Oh, there's a couple that are too thick there. Friday, I'm also going to be doing some of the prep for Sunday. Sunday, I'm going to be making my own Dijon mustard. But I'm going to have to do some of the prep on Friday for that because we're going to soak the mustard seeds in a liquid we're going to prep on Friday, and then we'll actually put it all together on Sunday. Most of the recipes I've seen, well, I've seen some where there's no cooking at all. I've seen some where they put everything in for the cook, which I'm not 100% with throwing all of the booze in the cook. But that's the plan for Friday and Sunday, besides doing pork piccata on Friday. And I didn't really make plans for dinner on Sunday for sure, other than we're making Dijon mustard. It's probably going to be a quicker pork dinner night with all of the pork in this lovely house right now. I don't want to get going with the salad really just yet. I want these breadcrumbs to be toasty. So we're in a waiting pattern, chat. We're in a holding pattern. Now, what did I do with that the last time I used it? I put it down here? I did. I did. Tempted to put the onions in a bowl somewhere, but I want to reuse one of these bowls for making the salad after we get the cake in the oven. Starting to cool down a bit. I don't know if it was turning the fan on, getting circulation going better or what, but even with the oven on, I'm cooling down. So that's good. I basically turned on stream and started sweating. That's what we can do while we're waiting too. That's also savory work, but that's close enough. Let's just hang out. Let's see what's going on in the world. I was talking about wildfires in Sonoma County not too long ago. There's apparently a giant wildfire in Area 51 right now, which, if you're downwind from Area 51, I apologize. I'm sorry. Hi, Soph. The other one that I posted in the Discord as far as news. So there's an Italian, I think it's a YouTuber, YouTuber, that reviews like handheld consoles, and because he decided to review consoles that are shipped with the ROMs of older games, he's now looking at potentially 10 years in prison for reviewing something he bought. I think that's pretty crazy, yeah. Those are feeling crunchy enough. I think I'm going to go with those. They're a little light, but... So I added those into with that. Apparently he didn't even, like, play the games that were in question or anything on the stream. It was entirely... he had possession of these. I'm going to give the rest of these breadcrumbs a little bit longer. They're looking pretty good, though. But we want this. Okay, so we have our basic standard coffee cake bottom here. Obviously needed to be mixed a little bit better. Hi, Nan Reader. Ugh, dad joke. That one's rough. This seems like entirely too much streusel topping, but is there really ever such a thing as too much streusel topping? It's got the pecans in there for some crunch. I'm still sort of craving throwing some pretzels or something in there. And I don't know why. Cleaning up the streusel, or whatever it is. The crunchy part is the real reason everyone eats this anyways. It's where all the cinnamon and the sugar is. I'm cleaning out that bowl so we can use this for the cucumber, dill, white onion, and rye crouton salad. And not caring that there's still a little flour at the bottom. Whatever. This needs to go set over on the stove, over by the stove for a couple minutes here. Let's see, are these croutons done? Yeah, I'm calling those done. Now we're cranking up the oven. 375. Oof. Well, I don't know. Maybe that's my generation, my age. Who out there is a fan of the Hummer still? Like, is that not wasn't that like a relic of the Desert War? Like, does Arnold still have his 20 Hummers? regardless, the EV Hummer outsold the Cybertruck last quarter. I think they're ferocious. I think they're disgusting. Like, I agree wholeheartedly with this belongs in James Bond. Now I can't remember the iconic James Bond video game where everything's just like, you know, it's like the original Doom. It's just like they lost all the detail. GoldenEye. It's like it's straight out of GoldenEye, the video game. There's one or two that I see around here. We have a lot of Teslas around here. Like the one of the supermarkets near me has like 20 different chargers next to it, and they're usually filled. Which I don't understand that one either. Like, there's no housing like right there. Most supermarkets have a ton of housing. There's actually not really any housing next to this supermarket. They're not shopping at the store. I honestly don't know how long it takes to charge a Tesla. I know some of the Chinese companies are promising incredibly short charging times, but like the company that Berkshire Hathaway is backing in China is boasting really short recharge times. Are we up to 375, Oven? I don't know if I trust that you're up to 375 yet. Let's see what you look like in 20... Well, darn it. I need another pan to go in here. Well, let's go even higher. Well, it's definitely not 375 now. But, like, we got some really, like, I'm in Northern California. Like, we got some real solid hippies here. You know, we got people that still celebrate the Grateful Dead around here. Grateful Dead's still a great band. I like their music, but regardless, they're old jam band. Yeah. So, like, I understand that. Like, there were all sorts of Priuses around here before we had tons of Teslas. Sonoma's really weird in that sense. Like, we got a little bit of it all. in that sense, because we certainly, like, we have active forestry, active mines, and all of these vineyards, they all got trucks. They're all using semis. Why is that so delayed? Oh, hi, El Capitano. It was the text that was delayed, not the overlay. I got distracted from what I was doing. I need to chop some taters. Ooh. I don't know if we still do. We used to have a fish and chips truck in Sonoma. And maybe we should do some of those. After all, we're getting up there with how many I need to do anyways. It's okay. Mackerel is definitely it's a strong flavored fish. So you don't really have much hope of changing that. It's a very oily, very rich fish. But otherwise, it was great. I'm just slicing these in half. Pie was great. Pie turned out amazing. Potatoes were good. Going back to the fish and chip place here, he used to always do a thing where, you make a fish face or something at him. He takes a photo of it, puts it on Instagram. He gives you $1 off or something. I threw that in there and didn't set a timer. And going back to talking about Sonoma, you got some cities that are just like a weird mix of that too. Like Guerneville, Forestville area are like just getting into what's called West County here. And they're like, you walk through that town and you walk through either of those and you're like, what's that smell? Just walking through town. But they're also full of full-size trucks. In fact, the parking is horrid in those small towns because of that. He says, driving a full-size truck. Don't try and get me to drive into San Francisco. It ain't happening. It's bad enough that there's parking garages, I think, in Santa Rosa. I don't remember 100%. I'm thinking the one right near the City Hall is too short for my truck. Like, something like 17% of the vehicles on US roads, I know this isn't a worldwide statistic, on US roads are full-size pickups. Almost 1 in 5. I always get irritated by those photos on, like, social media for, you know, look at this jerk parking like this for a parking space that is obviously not designed to handle trucks like there's somewhere else for them to go. They're always like, these horrendously large trucks, get rid of these trucks. Why don't you design the parking spaces that fit what we're actually producing? Cumin, cayenne, let's just do regular paprika. Give it a little more color. I stayed away from mustard since we're doing a patty melt. We're definitely going to have mustard with the patty melt. So, make sure these all get nicely coated. And onto baking tray. I don't necessarily need one anymore, but mine successfully drove around a trailer that most have full-size trucks. Like, you need a Super Duty mostly for my trailer. Well, I'm talking when I bought my truck, which was ages ago. Nowadays, most of them can probably handle my trailer no problem. But, I mean, it's done its life, and it's mostly retired at this point. It's actually very much on its last legs. Gonna go ahead and throw these down there with the cake. Oh, cake's rising a little bit. I don't need to do that. peel back the wrapper. Yeah, humidity is not fun. The whole, you get 90 plus like you do all the time in Florida, and it's like it's raining and it's not. It just feels like it's raining out. Your windshield's getting wet, but it's dry. I had the last pork sandwich last night. That was delicious. It was yummy. I still have pork, but I don't have any more buns, so... I'm going to start by heavily salting these. Worcestershire. MSG. Dad joke? No. This still needs yogurt and these, but these go in sort of last minute. Like, we want to let the salt pull out what moisture we can out of this ahead of time, and we don't want to let these get soggy. Not a fan of soggy bread panzanella. What do you think, chat? That isn't panzanella, but it's a panzanella like salad. Sadly, most times I've had panzanella in restaurants, unless it's like a fine dining restaurant where they're like composing a plate to order, it's never been very good. But essentially it's supposed to be an almost like crunchy, dry bread mixing with tomatoes, onions. It's almost like salsa with bread. But most times I've had it in a couple of Mexican restaurants that I can think of, and that as like a side dish. And it had been sitting on like a cold bar for easily all day, all shift sort of a thing. It's just sort of like, soggy food can be great though at the same time though. I would say no, not even for that. Like, I love me some bread stuffing, and that's not always crispy, crunchy. And the other one I'm thinking of is the reason I'm making a more breakfasty dessert tonight is because we did bread pudding last stream with the last challenge with the hot dogs. And so I didn't want to do another bread pudding, even though we were doing bread tonight. But I love me a good soggy bread pudding, like that's soft. I mean, yeah, some nice crisp corners in that is nice, a little like a brownie. But you want that center to be... Brownies that way too. Chocolate lava cakes. Yeah, soggy food can be awesome. But, yeah, a lot of the times it can't be too. Ooh. I don't want soggy panzanella. No soggy panzanella. No soggy pizza either. No soggy pineapple soup on my pizza. That's the problem with text versus talking. Like, I can... we're chatting. You write something in chat, and then... You wrote it. Why, hello there, giant bird. What are you doing here? Are you a robin? What are you? Like, you look like a normal bird, but you're ginormous for a normal bird. And it's gone. What else should I get ahead of time here for a burger? I think we're just chilling. We just chilling. We just waiting on bacon. Except we don't have any bacon. We're waiting in baking. Yep, restaurants are doing bad. Reading an article here. Hot Monk is a chain of restaurants in Sonoma County. It was started by, I don't know if it was the creator or heir to Gordon Biersch beer fame. Basically, they're restaurants, but they all have their own beers. And, well, they carry a wide variety of other local beers, but they also have their in-house beers. And they primarily do, like, they're almost like primarily music events, but they're all like local acts sort of stuff. Apparently they're trying to offload a couple of their properties and focus only on the ones that are like straight up entertainment joints. I don't know that I've ever enjoyed a visit to a Hot Monk before, though. Like, I had some really bad, like... Yeah. I've had some things like... One of them I got sat... Like, why you even put a table here in the first place confuses me. But they sat me... It wasn't busy. It wasn't like I needed to be in the seat either when I was there. I was sat directly underneath a vent from some sort of thing, blowing hot air down on me. Like, and it was like a table that didn't need to be... It's like I... On top of that, I was feeling like they were putting me off into the corner on a little table sort of a thing. It's... And another time at a different one, I remember going there and talking to a hostess. The hostess was straight up rude to me at that point when I was just looking to be sat, and then disappeared. To the point that I just sat down at the bar for a good 10-15 minutes, didn't get waited on at the bar, and then left. That's one thing that I since going through culinary school and restaurants and stuff like that, as a kid, I never would have like walked out of a restaurant and been annoyed with it. As an adult, I'm like, yeah, see you guys. Go spend my money somewhere else and I'll do it very visibly. let's see what we got down here. Let's see what this cake's looking like. I'm gonna give that only another 5 minutes. Center is just a little, like the corners are looking nice. The center's just a little too soft. All the AI companies are racing to build browsers now. They all want your viewing data. Yeah, no, Capitano, like, yeah, like, what it's gonna do to the job market, that scares me. And by job market, therefore, economy, therefore, global markets, therefore. And I think a lot of this that's going on in government is because of that right now. Like, the whole getting rid of the education department. Like, I'm all for getting our kids properly educated and with a good education, not just a proper but, you know, we don't need kids of Detroit unable to read. At the same time, it's becoming an industry overall, the thing that really scares me about it, even more than, is we're now sort of like, we've got a push against books. Like, we're having banned books all over the place. I'm reading about banned books all over the place. Libraries getting into troubles all over the place. That scares me. Because at least a third of people out there that don't have a personal computer or cell phone, you know, libraries is where it's at. And at the same time, all of these AI companies are stealing all of their data. They're winning lawsuits saying that they're training their stuff on the data. They're not using the data. And in the meantime, they're charging for their services. It's like we're moving towards a pay for information. We're doing that with news, too. That's been irritating me for years, how many paywalls there are in news. I understand and respect news companies need money to exist. We need a better system. Hi, Ozzy. Yep. Absolutely, Helix. I sort of picture the beginning of Wall-E. People riding around in their like essentially wheelchairs, but they're like fancy with all the electronics doodads. You could add hydro massage, you never have to leave the chair. There we go. So we have our pecan and rye bread streusel topping on our coffee cake. Speaking of libraries, support Internet Library too. Not libraries, but Internet Library too, because it has become so important for so many things in the public domain and in lawsuits and fighting for, like, they need to exist. Anytime you hear a Wayback Machine, think Internet Library. Non-for-profit organization. I actually sort of find it funny that so many, and you could almost include me in that list, of streamers that are doing books. And like cookbooks, too. Like, did you actually, like, did you just make that recipe a couple of times and call it your own? Like, so many of these cookbooks are just, because you can't trademark, you can't copyright recipes. They're a list of operations. They're not copyrightable. You can copyright the writing around the book and the recipes in the book, but you can't copyright the recipes. So it shocks me that there are so many people out there making recipe books. I guess we can get started with the rest of dinner now. We got this out and chilling. I'm gonna... yeah, we're gonna move this off to the side, out of the way. Toast ourselves up some bread. What's everyone's favorite type of rye bread? I was saying at the beginning of the stream, but I think we got more people here now. I went with Russian rye, but there is many different types. Huh? I'm not a big rye eater myself too, but I don't know. We got an international audience, and I'm not sure. Most of the time I come across rye, it's either because it's a Reuben or sometimes with this, but usually this around here you get sourdough for all sorts of stuff like this. Most people recognize that there's a dark and a light rye at the very least. So you have dark and light, the very basic. And then I also saw seeded, Jewish, and Russian. Although I did have to go to 2 stores in order to find it. First store I went to didn't have any. I mean, it had a whole bunch of seeded breads. One of the bread producers here in Sonoma County is pretty well known, pretty wide distributed. Alvarado Street. It's in Healdsburg. It's Healdsburg, Petaluma. One of the two. I think it's Healdsburg. Healdsburg's our Beverly Hills of Sonoma County, but they do all sorts of seeded breads, but they don't do like rye. We melted over here yet? Dad joke on a roll tonight. And pour off the liquid that I can easily. Salt. High flame. Make sure that's nice and hot before we throw the burger on there. Please fit. No. That was a nice little flare up. Oh, hush. Like, I do not want a smart oven, but I do want to be able to tell it to shut up. Oh, quit cooking, burger. I'm not ready for you. Hi, 10. Yep, we're doing a patty melt. We've got coffee cake. Doing a cucumber salad. Container of plain goat yogurt. Sonoma County brand. Also Trader Joe's brand. Heat on that burger is off, by the way. I don't know if I mentioned that. Dill. Black pepper. And toasted rye bread crumbs. Or croutons. Yeah, we're cutting it. I want my cheese a little meltier than that, but otherwise it's looking pretty good. And taters. Those taters are looking done. Oh, yeah, they are done. Those be roasty. They look delicious, though. Let's get some photos. So we got our burger. And we've got our coffee cake. Rye bread coffee cake. There we have it, folks. There is dinner for tonight. Well, that and a slice of that pear pie from Monday. Let's give this a shot. Definitely hitting those patty melt memories. I can certainly survive on that tonight. I think that's going to be delicious. I think these are going to be great too. A little soft, but they're still crunchy. I'm gonna let this cool before I cut into this. I'll throw a photo of this, if I remember. I'm gonna try and remember. Put a photo of this chopped up on the Discord. Otherwise, the rest of these photos will throw up everywhere else. Nice spice on those. Those got some heat. Nice. And this is going to be nice and cooling against that. Those are going to work great, and this is just delicious. And I hope that's delicious. Especially in the morning, because I think I'm going to have pear pie for dinner tonight. This is probably going to be coffee cake. I do think that wraps things up for tonight, though. We've got another vote going in the Discord already. Next week it's going to be between fruit roll-ups and strawberry lemonade. Fruit roll-ups got our small lead. We need more votes. So if you like strawberry lemonade, now's your time. How the heck you ever turn either one of those into something savory? Ugh. Let's see here. I think we're going to call it right there. Thank you so much for joining in with me tonight. We're only got a few people hanging out with us at the finish here tonight, so I don't think I'm going to raid out tonight. Thank you so much for hanging out with me. Going to be back here on Friday. We're going to be doing pork piccata with fresh pasta. Going to be doing prep for Sunday. I'm going to be making my own Dijon mustard on Sunday. So those are the plans for this upcoming weekend. I hope you are free to come and join me. If not, I hope you have a great finish to your week. Either way, I hope you have a great finish to your week. Good night, folks.